One of the first things you'll notice on the new 2011 Hino trucks is the bold new front end look. The grille is sizably larger due to an increase in radiator size of about 14% for additional cooling, but as a byproduct, we get a lot tougher, meaner looking truck with a lot more chrome up front, which your customers will love. The hood opens very easily for access to the engine compartment. There's a gas strut to ease the opening. And if we take a look under the hood, our J08 engines are really the foundation of our Hino trucks and moving them forward. The J08 engines really have three main components that we like to talk about that really are the essential components of the Hino engine, and those are the variable nozzle turbocharger, the high pressure common rail fuel system, and the EGR system. So let's talk a little bit about each one of them. New for 2011, they've changed the variable nozzle turbocharger considerably. They've gone from 15 vanes in the turbo down to 11 vanes in the turbo, and they've changed the curve of the vane for better efficiency. By reducing the number of vanes, they also reduce the amount of energy it takes to spin the turbo, thereby making it more efficient and contributing to overall fuel economy. In addition to that, they've changed from a bushing to a ball bearing setup on the turbo for overall greater durability. Overall, our turbochargers not only provide us with the power, but the great fuel economy that our customers are used to in our Hino trucks. The high pressure common rail fuel system has changed considerably for this year as well. Last year's Hino trucks utilized a 26,000 pound per square inch fuel rail system. This year, we've increased the fuel pressure to about 29,000 psi. Now, the benefit is it's going to help in terms of overall fuel economy, but a lot of manufacturers have struggled with high fuel pressures in maintaining the durability of their systems. Therefore, Hino for 2011 has added a de-aerator to the fuel system. The de-aerator's job is to take the tiny air bubbles out of the fuel system so that we don't have something called decavitation. Decavitation occurs when tiny air bubbles slam into the fuel rails and slam into the injectors, and they implode on the surface, over time causing damage. The de-aerator is going to break up those bubbles, get rid of them, so we can avoid decavitation and make sure our injectors and fuel systems are in it for the long haul. In addition to that, the changes in the turbocharger, hand in hand with the changes in the common rail fuel system, are going to lend to a 3.5 to 5% overall increase in fuel economy. In a time where a lot of manufacturers' fuel economy is actually going down, we can actually have bragging rights that our fuel economy is going up, even with the new emission systems that have been imposed by the EPA for 2010. Another thing I want to mention is the EGR system. EGR stands for exhaust gas recirculation. We've gone from 2 EGR coolers in the front of our engine to a single larger cooler for better efficiency. Hand in hand with that, as I mentioned, they also have a larger radiator, a more efficient turbo intercooler, and a more efficient water pump to make sure the temperatures of our engine stay very stable, so again, the longevity of our engines lasts for the long haul. The EGR systems in our engines currently recirculate about 35 to 40% of the exhaust gases. Now, when we compare that to somebody like International, which is up to 55% of the exhaust gas recirculation with their new massive EGR, that's going to lend to a lot more heat in the engine, and it's putting a lot more dirty air in the engine. So the fuel economy is not going to be great, and the durability is probably not going to be what it's been in the past. Definitely competitive advantages for Hino. A few other things you want to point out when you're under the hood speaking with your customers. One of the first things you'll notice is that the Davco heated fuel filter has changed positions from the back of the cab on the frame rail to under the hood. We did that because in some of our cold weather regions, we were getting fuel gelling down around 10 or 20 below zero, and by putting it under the hood, we add a little bit more heat from the under hood compartment. Even though it is a heated fuel filter, that's going to help prevent gelling in really cold weather situations. It is a clear filter, so you can look at it at a glance, know when it needs to be replaced, and it's definitely another benefit in terms of long-term maintenance. A couple other things to point out. Up on top of the engine, we have a new positive crankcase ventilation system. It does have a filter for this year, and that filter requires a change every 60,000 miles. Very inexpensive, very easy to access and easy to do, as is all of the maintenance under the hood of our Hino trucks. In terms of all the fluid checks, all the dipsticks, everything's easy to get to and well labeled, so your customers won't have any problem when they're under the hood trying to do those basic maintenance checks. One of the other components that I always like to bring up when I'm talking to our Hino customers is the steering gear. The steering gears in our Hino trucks are proprietary gear with TRW and Hino engineers in a cooperative effort to provide a 55-degree wheel cut, providing superior maneuverability on all of our trucks. That's going to be about the best the competition has, but it's standard on every single one of our trucks, and you'll find that if you compare wheelbase to wheelbase, our trucks versus the competition, we have one of the most maneuverable trucks out there, and that's going to be a big competitive advantage. That's our look under the hood of the 2011 Hino truck.